Okay, key concept 3.3 is increased productive capacity and its consequences. In other words, we're going to be talking about the economic activity during this time period and what effect it had. We've been talking about economic activity throughout this entire course, like the sale of agricultural products, exchange of goods through trade. It's a very important topic in AP World History. These effects can last for centuries. So today we're going to study changes in agriculture and manufacturing and how their effects on, and the effects that they had on trade, cities, and labor in the year 600 to 1450. Here's your outline. This is a short key concept. And it's really easy, so let's just jump right into it. Agricultural production increased significantly due to technological innovations. And this happened in many regions. At this time in world history, the advancement in agricultural techniques across the globe allowed for people to better feed themselves because there was a surplus of supply of agricultural goods. And this surplus, of course, like we've talked about before, allows for human populations to grow because there's now more resources available. Some examples of improvements include the horse collar in Europe, the opening of the Ganges River Delta in India, and improved terracing techniques in China was also something. The horse collar made it possible for horses to pull a plow. Rotating varieties of crops in a field increased crop yield because the soil's nutrients were less depleted. And the horseshoe was created. It protected the horse's hooves so they didn't need to be replaced so often. The Chinampas system in Aztec society, I'm going to try that again, Chinampa, called for large human-made floating islands of crops to be constructed in the lakes and in the canals in the Aztec society. Workers would weave huge flat baskets and pile mud on top of them, and then they would plant crops on them like maize, like American corn, in the soil. And then the plants were watered by their roots, which grew through the baskets into the water. This field system allowed the Aztecs to feed the large population of the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan, which was situated in the middle of Lake Texcoco in central Mexico, which is just crazy. And then you also had crops being transported from homelands to equivalent climates in other regions, like rice that we've already talked about. China was importing a type of rice from Vietnam, and this greatly increased China's food supply. Exports are expanding production, particularly we've talked about China and Persia and India already, but these are some things that were happening, some items that they're actually exporting. They're expanding their production of textiles and porcelains for export, and then in China, of course, you had industrial production of iron and steel, so they could build their own infrastructure as well as sell these goods to other cities and countries and governments so they could build their own infrastructure. And what's important to remember is that all of these products were being exchanged throughout Afro-Eurasia along the Silk Roads and Indian Ocean trading networks. And remember, that means that the Aztecs and the Incas on the Western Hemisphere are still kind of being left out of the loop, but their societies are still growing and maturing.